Hello everyone, my name is Kieran, of course, from RedDevilWeekly, and welcome to probably what is one of, if not the biggest previews we've done this year on the channel. But before we get into anything, as you'll notice, we've got a very special guest on the channel, and you guys might have seen him before on the channel. He's been on a few times, but it's fantastic to welcome you back. Welcome, Mr. Jack Wall. Jack, how are you doing, my friend?
Hey, Kieran, how's it going, mate? Good to be back. It's been a while, but no bigger game to come back on, I suppose.
Mate, it's the perfect game for you to come back on, absolutely. But thanks for coming on, appreciate it. And his Twitter link's in the description down below as well. If you want to check him out on Twitter, please do feel free to do so. But before we get into it as well, if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. Also leave a like if you haven't already for for the content, if you do enjoy this sort of content. And hopefully tomorrow, if we win against Liverpool, or when we win against Liverpool, I want to be positive, then there'll be a massive pie on the channel. So make sure you hit that notification bell if you haven't already. But we'll get straight into it because no time like the present. And the first thing I want to talk about actually isn't to do with tomorrow's game specifically, but it's to do with this fixture in general and the history of this fixture. And I want to put this question to you, Jack, and also you guys in the live chat. Previous memories of Manchester United Liverpool games. There's a lot of great memories for United fans, a lot of bad memories for United fans. But I want to ask you, Jack, if you had to, off the top of your head, come up with what would be your favourite memory of a Manchester United game against Liverpool, and you can even narrow it down to a game at Anfield as well, because I know we've had a few good ones there.
Okay, so there's been like loads of good games at Liverpool. I mean, even before I was born, this kit was the 3-3 at Anfield, which was a class game as well. But I'd probably I'll pick an Old Trafford one, Berbatov hat-trick, unbelievable game. You know, went 2-0 up, Gerrard pulled it back with 2 goals, and then Berba got the winner. But Anfield, Juanfield, the goals that he scored, the Herrera pass for the first goal, and then the overhead kick for the second one. And the Gerrard getting sent off in his last one, that just added a little bit of the icing on the cake as well, because who the fuck wants to play Gerrard? So yeah, it would probably be Juanfield, and I think that was actually a similar blueprint of how we should kind of play tomorrow in the way that we keep it tight in the midfield, don't allow them any space, and then we hit them on the break like we did for that first Mata goal way. You know, we intercept the ball, Fellaini knocked it off to Herrera, and then we had runners from the right and the left. Mata slipped in and the goal, and then once we get a goal or two, kind of chill, take a deep breath, stay calm, and try and hold out for the win. And look, that's a blueprint of how we need to play, because we can't go gung-ho against Liverpool for 90 minutes, because at one point or another they will score. They're just very good going forward, and if you allow them space and time, Salah, Mane, Firmino on his day, Thiago can obviously pick a pass as well, so we have to be careful in that way as well. So I'd say Juanfield for me was the game that stands out at Anfield anyway.
Yeah, I think that'll be a popular choice. And as you said, if we can play like we did in that game and score the same sort of goals we did, it'll be a fantastic evening tomorrow evening. But if I had to pick as well on that, I think Juanfield, as I said, would probably be my choice as well. It's difficult to go against that, really, especially when in recent seasons anyway, we've had a few hidings at Anfield. We've had a few humblings at Anfield
ones as well.
Yeah, a few
Jose had 2 0-0s in a row there.
Yeah.
Which was just appalling. The one where we last won the league as well, that was a good one. Van Persie got the penalty, and I think Joe Gomez gave away the penalty, and Raphael scored the curler with his left foot in off the post from a Kagawa chest.
Of course, yeah.
So that was a good game as well. But we've had a few good games over the years and a few bad ones as well, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. A few people have joined us. Thank you very much, Adam Talk Sport. Thanks for joining. Thanks LSR for reading us live as well. Kobe in the live chat. We've also got Yank Talking Smack. I love the name. And Matthew, thanks for joining as well. Appreciate it. As I say, keep your comments coming. We'll be addressing them throughout the stream. And if you want to get involved as well in what we're just talking about, what is your favourite moment from Manchester United versus Liverpool clash? Get it in the live chat, and we'll talk about. Matthew says Fernandez. Hopefully Fernandez can if he could recreate that. I mean, it would be party time. Absolutely. But to be fair, Bruno Fernandez is actually, this still be his first time playing Liverpool. He hasn't played Liverpool yet. Obviously, signed him in January. With the amount of Player of the Month he's won, you'd think he would have been here for years, but he's only actually been here for just over a calendar year, just under a calendar year actually. So he's doing phenomenal stuff. And Yeah, as I said, Fernandez is going to be a massive key for us. And if he performs well, and he's due a few goals and assists because I think in his last 2 games he hasn't had a goal involvement. So hopefully that means in this one, he was saving them all for this game in particular. But we'll start with talking about a bit of Liverpool as well. And they haven't been in great form of recently, especially in the league. In their last 3 league games, they're without a win. 3 defeats actually against 3 sides that like to play a low block. So that's the question I'm going to put to you, Jack, and also to you guys in the live chat is, in terms of how we go about this game, first of all, why do you think Liverpool struggles so much against that low block? And do you think that Solskjaer would be tempted to play, a 5 at the back or play more of a defensive formation and mindset to get the 3 points tomorrow?
I think definitely there's the thing about Liverpool is they have their style, which is like gegenpressing from the front. They're always on the front foot, always trying to attack. But there's certain things that have kind of happened to them where they've lost their Fabinho in that midfield row. And at times they've lost Henderson in midfield as well. He's slotted in centre-back, like against Southampton, where they didn't have a shot on target until the 75th minute. So when you lose 2 of your starters that dictate your kind of play in the midfield, as well as not having... A lot of the time last season, Liverpool created most of their chances from the fullbacks. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson has kept a similar output in terms of chances created this season. I think he's created 38 in the league this season, but he's only registered 5 assists. Whereas last season, from those chances created, he would have maybe registered 7, 8, maybe 9. So I think that's combined with the less clinical form of Mane and Firmino especially, you're scoring less goals, whereas a lot of times some of the crosses would have resulted in goals against those low block teams. You look at who they're having to play in midfield now because of Thiago, or because of Fabinho and Henderson stepping back. They're having to step to the likes of Curtis Jones, Naby Keita at times, Minamino, Shaqiri. These players you would have never considered starting in the Liverpool big game like this, but because of the way their injuries is, you've lost your 2 best centre-backs. It would be like if we lost Maguire and Bailly, we'd be left with Lindelof, and I know Tuanzebe is a good player, but over a long period of time, he'd probably get injured as well. So there's that core of that Liverpool team, and then when you take out the fact that Thiago was meant to be this huge blockbuster signing, world-class talent. I have to say I love Thiago. Really disappointed that United didn't go in for him, especially considering we got Donny van de Beek for 10 million more. But I can see that, he wanted to go to Liverpool and he's been injured, so he could be a big part to play tomorrow. But in terms of the way Liverpool play, Alexander-Arnold is having nowhere near as much as an impact as he had last season. And it makes sense because when you look at Alexander-Arnold as a player, he's a player who swings in a lot of crosses and he relies on people becoming on the ends of it. And for 2 straight seasons, everyone was getting on the end of these crosses. Eventually, people figure those crosses out. You look at Kevin De Bruyne for 2 seasons before this season, all the time coming in from that right channel, using Bernardo Silva as a dummy and crossing it in. This season, people have figured De Bruyne out. So now he's playing from the left channel with Sterling, playing little 1-2s and then spreading it out to Mahrez and using the right wing more because you have to adapt as a team. And I don't think Liverpool have quite adapted yet. And when you combine that with the injuries that they've had, it's clear to see why there is a dip in form. But they're still a fantastic team, and we're going to no doubt have a big game, especially, they say in these games form goes out the window. And that's kind of been the case for us in the last few seasons where Liverpool have been so much better than us, but we still have, we're the first team to make them drop points last season until Watford did in February. We got the draw at Old Trafford, and then I thought we were actually quite unlucky to lose 2-0 at Anfield last year. I think Martial missed a very good chance. Wan-Bissaka missed one at the back post, so did Pereira. So in these games last season, we did very well against the big teams. We had a counter-attacking side who played in a low block and then went forward on the counter-attack. This season, we've kind of transitioned into a team that's always on the front foot, keeping that possession just because we've got more quality now. I mean, if you look at the starting 11, we went to Anfield last season. Andreas Pereira, we played 5 at the back, Luke Shaw as a left centre-back, Brandon Williams, Andreas Pereira, Fred, Matic, Martial and James. That's just not a team that you would ever expect to play for Man United now. So, there's clear differences in both teams, and hopefully those weaknesses we can exploit and hopefully get the win.
Well, I hope so. And as you said, it's about the moments in these sort of games. I think, especially for a side going to Anfield, you have to take those big chances. And obviously in the last game, we didn't take them. And I agree with you. I think we were Slightly unfortunate not to get the win. Obviously, you argued that you could some argue that you're unfortunate, but in some ways you could argue that you should have taken those chances, and that's fair. But I think obviously if you analyse the two ways Liverpool scored, their second goal came from basically where we threw everyone forward, and that was always going to happen. The first goal was just poor defending from a set piece, and also Van Dijk's just a beast. So it's one of those things where you look back on that game and it's a bit frustrating that we couldn't get anything out of that. But it's all about taking those moments really in that sort of game. A few comments here. Kobe saying, obviously going back to our previous chat, saying Berbatov bicycle kick. It's hard to beat that one, Kobe. It is hard to beat that one, to be fair. Yank talking smack. Connor, he says we can take advantage of the fact they are missing both their top centre backs. Need to attack off the trot. So yeah, obviously I think in the last game they played, they had a back partnership of Henderson and Fabinho, which is obviously very unorthodox for Liverpool. But obviously with Thiago coming back in as well, and that was the one thing that, as you mentioned, he's a quality player, quality baller, and I was so. Obviously, I don't wish injury on anyone, but I was so frustrated when I saw him come back from injury and the fact he's going to be playing in this game. But to be fair, in some ways, you could argue that when you play these big games, you want to play the best team. You want to play their best team because there's no excuses then if you beat them. So I think Thiago will have a massive bearing on this game, but as well, see a few predictions as well in the live chat. So yeah, keep getting them in. Daz has joined us. Thanks for joining Daz, the legend that is Daz's football stand. Make sure to check out his channel as well. Great stuff on there. He's saying he's bricking it for tomorrow. I don't see us winning this match just because of Liverpool's attack. It'll either be a draw or a loss, I'm afraid. Don't worry, mate. I think a lot of a lot of United fans are feeling a very similar way. I think a lot of us would probably take a draw if it was offered to us right now. But I think we've mentioned Thiago. We may as well talk about him and talk about a little bit on the Man United side of things as well. Our midfield has actually gotten much stronger since the last time we played Liverpool, and also the fact that they have had a few injuries and have had to move Fabinho back into a centre back role means their midfield might not be as strong or as first choice as maybe they'd like it to. But obviously with Thiago pretty well guaranteed to play in this game, how do you think we should go about stopping Thiago? Because I think we both see him as the major, chance creator in that team. How do you see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer setting up to stop Thiago, and how would you like to see us set up to stop him?
I think Ole's got his system in the big games, and that's no matter who you're playing. If you're playing City, you're trying to handle De Bruyne, and in the last few years, your David Silva's, your Gundogan's, those kind of technical midfielders. So I think he's gonna have his trusty Fred and McTominay. Fred is fantastic in his role of winning back possession in between the defensive third and the midfield third, just in between those lines, nicking those balls out from just coming into the striker's feet or the midfielders transitioning from defence into attack. That's when Fred's excellent, intercepting the ball and then giving her simple passes, distributing it into Pogba, into Bruno, and then you've got the strength and the power of McTominay. He covers ground unlike any other midfielder we've got, really. In terms of his pace and his power, his physique, he's very imposing to play against in terms of his physicality as well. And if McTominay can get into Thiago early, rough him up for one or two challenges, we'll see if Thiago's up for the challenge, that kind of way. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think if United's midfield are on it, if Pogba, Bruno, McTominay and Fred are all on song, which I'm guessing Ole will play all four of them in either a diamond or Pogba off one of the flanks, I think if our midfielders are on song, they will nullify Thiago without having to do anything specific to Thiago's actual game. So I think that's how you go about stopping them. I think you focus on your own game, and then everything else will go into play. And if we can, like I said, McTominay will want to impose himself on someone like Thiago, and I'm sure Ole will be into his ear. He's just coming back from injury. He's new to the league. Show him what this fixture is all about. Leave one on him early, like we saw McTominay do with Neymar. Neymar got a bit wound up, and we were quite unlucky in that PSG game as well. So I think if McTominay can do something like that, Fred can keep his head, win the ball back and play it simple and not be 25-yard shooting Fred, because no one likes that Fred. I think we have a good chance of winning the midfield battle, and I think that is where the key will be in that midfield. Whoever wins that battle and who can transition it quicker into the forwards is more likely to win the game.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think, especially with Scott McTominay, if we see a lovely crunching tackle early on from him, that is almost pornographic. RedManx TV, thanks for joining. Appreciate it, mate. Make sure to check out RedManx TV as well. Brilliant stuff on his channel over there. And as LSR Preens Live said, you said it for me. Like and subscribe now if you haven't already. Great stuff from you, my son. Yank Cavani header and Bruno Pen. Sorry, I've clicked off that. He says, Cavani header and Bruno Pen, Henderson or Fabinho will make a mistake with how well we can dribble inside the box. Well, I guess you could argue that's been proven with our penalty record. I mean, people complain about it, but if you stop fouling our players in the box, maybe it'd be lower. And also, they don't talk about the fact that obviously Leicester's had nearly double the amount of penalties we've had, but obviously that doesn't suit the agenda. But it's not about that. I'm not salty. Trust me.
How can you be salty when you win so many penalties? It's easy.
Exactly. As I said, keep getting the comments in. Kobe's got his predicted 11 in there, or what he would play anyway. He says, De Gea, by Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, Pogba, Fred, Dan James, Martial, Rashford. I wasn't expecting Dan James. That is a wild card for me. What are your thoughts on that?
I have two lineups. I have the predicted one, and then I have the one that I would play if I was the manager. The one that, in my preferred, the one I would play, I also have Dan James in the team.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, that is... I'm looking forward to hearing your lineup then. I'm looking forward to it. We'll get to that in a bit. We'll save that gold for a bit. Adam says, Kieran and Jack, question, what would you do if Diallo scored the winner? I mean, first of all, the likelihood of that happening would be...
Turn off the PlayStation.
I was going to say something. Yeah, I mean, listen, if Diallo, obviously, there's some parallels as well to Martial. You could argue the signing coming in his first game against Liverpool. If Diallo came on and scored the winner, I mean, make the statue already.
No,
I mean, the goal should be exactly. But yeah, that is the land of make believe, Adam. But I like what you're thinking. Anyway. I wouldn't mind if De Gea scored the winner, to be honest. Anyone scoring a winner, I'll take it.
I wouldn't mind if it hit the bloody... Anyone went in, I don't care. As long as if we can win that game, I don't care.
Oh, exactly. And you know what? We'll move on to that because, Manchester United winning the game would take us 6 points above Liverpool. I think it would take us 4 points above Leicester if their result stays the same, because I think they're now ahead of Liverpool in second. But we would not only, go... get a bit more clear water at the top, but it would send a huge statement to the rest of the Premier League. How big of a statement do you think it sends if we win at Anfield? And if we're not already, do you think that a win in this game cements our place in this title race?
Yes, and yes, it does. I mean, if United were to go there and beat Liverpool, I mean, they haven't lost at Anfield in the league for 67 games or something mad like that, which is just phenomenal. You can't deny that home record is outstanding. That's testament to the way Liverpool have played over the last few years. It's testament to when the stadiums were full for most of those games, that the fans, that the atmosphere that Liverpool bring the fans is just, it drives the players on. And then so potentially without the fans could be a little bit easier to try and nick a result. But again, United wouldn't have the away support for that. So I think if United were to go there, break that Anfield record, and grab the 3 points, it sends out a huge statement of intent. Not just that we're 6 points ahead of Liverpool and that we've broken the record, but that United had the intent to go there, win the game, and they did it. To show that it's not just a fluke that we can go and beat Wolves and Villa and who did we beat? 1-0 Burnley, those kind of teams where you're just nicking results. Yeah. We can go against Liverpool and go there to win and win. I think that would send out a huge statement of intent, and would definitely, I think, not just make the other teams, but make everyone, the fans of everyone, go, okay, United are serious in this race and they've got quality all over the pitch. And I think if we were to go there and win in any sort of way, it could be 4-0 or it could be 3-2 with a 3 times taken penalty in the 95th minute, and I think the statement would be the same, that United went there and won. And as long as if we can win, it's undeniably the biggest result we've had in the league for seasons, because we've put in a statement out there. We've gone, look, listen, Liverpool, United are back. See us later. 6 points clear. Who wants to come at us next? Because if we're on that kind of roll, it's going to be tough to stop us, especially when you see the confidence breeding throughout the whole squad, especially when we've got almost no injuries. I think Ollie said the only 2 players who are 100% out is Brandon Williams and Phil Jones. So as well, coming up to this hectic period, the international break will come up in March as well. So if we can get through this Liverpool game with a win and then go into the next few games, we'll have FA Cup games, Europa League will be coming back, and the Premier League. We're going to need a full squad. So if we can go there 6 points ahead of Liverpool with a fresh squad, I think we've got every chance to go on and challenge right until the very end for that league.
Yeah, I think, I agree. I think it's a massive statement, to win at Anfield, to break that record. You look at some of the teams that have gone there and have, come unstuck. I mean, the positive I see is that Spurs game. I look at that Spurs game where obviously Liverpool scored that goal late. And actually Liverpool were pretty close to losing that game. You look at Bergwijn's chances in that game. If they fall to somebody else, it could have been a different story. So I think, even though, as we mentioned, Liverpool's home record is formidable, and you can't deny that, and you have to, take your hats off to them. It's an unreal record. But they are vulnerable. They are vulnerable, and if we take our chances, there's no reason why we can't do it. And as you said, any sort of win, as Kobe says, a 92nd minute Bruno Fernandez penalty, or even if it's a convincing 4-5-0 win, it doesn't matter. To go to Anfield and to win that game would just be, just for the fans, for the players, it'd be a huge confidence boost, and the mentality boost as well for those players, because a lot of people have talked about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saying the mentality's changing a little bit at Manchester United. We're now starting to become, more like have a bit more of a winner's mentality, and I think also, Bruno Fernandez has definitely driven that. But if we win this game, the boost that will give, I think I'd probably compare it to that time where Leicester were going for the league and they went to the Etihad, and people were saying that they were going to drop off. But when they went to the Etihad, exactly, they won the game. I think it was maybe 3-1, something like that. And it was a massive statement. And this is very similar to me. It gives me very, very similar vibes. Dazza here gets a question. He says, question for you lot. Do you think Diallo will feature? And what are your thoughts on these Caicedo rumours saying that we never wanted him? I'm very confused by Caicedo rumours. I'm confused by any transfer rumours, to be honest with you, Daz, that link to Manchester United, but that's we're used to that by now. We've talked a little bit about Diallo, but I guess I'll put that to you, Jack, then. I'll put that to you. Do you think that Diallo will feature in this game at all? And then also the Caicedo rumours. I'm not sure if you've seen any of Caicedo, if you think he'd be a good fit for United, but do you think that, obviously, just whatever Daz's question is.
I think the only way Diallo will feature is if he watches the game, and that's he's just not ready. He's just not ready. He's just not ready. Promising talent. I've seen probably what everyone else has seen, like his minutes that he's played this season, which is about 100. So you see the highlights of what he's played. So he's definitely not ready for this game. I would never throw him in. I think. With the team that Ollie will play, he's still got more than enough firepower before Diallo to bring him on as a sub. Greenwood, Martial, who I think will be on the bench, Donny van de Beek. You might need to defensively shore it up, so there's either going to be Tellez or Shaw as well. So, no, I don't think Diallo will feature. Caicedo, not a big fan of the Ecuadorian league, I can't lie. So, I'd have to say that I haven't seen anything of him, and if he was that high, look, he's 6 million euros. It's basically like a free transfer. But at the end of the day, is another midfielder what we really need, considering we've got Matic, McTominay, Fred, Pogba, Bruno, Donny van de Beek, as well as the likes of who you want to come. Maybe Jimmy Garner comes back next year and wants to be a squad player as well. So I think we've got enough midfielders at the moment. And then if Pogba goes, I would think you'd need to replace him with someone bigger than a Caicedo. Admittedly, I haven't seen a lot of them, but that's just my feeling on that. So I'm not sure. Look, United are linked with hundreds of players. For it to be such an obscure player, I'd say maybe United sent a scout over to a game. Something along those lines, but that can be blown out into a whole big rumour. So whether United really wanted him or just wanted to look at him is, only the club would know that, but I'm not too sure. It's a big loss if we don't sign him, to be honest.
No, I'm on a similar wavelength, to be honest. I feel like with Caicedo, as you said, if he was if he was that, interesting of a prospect, you'd have all the top clubs in Europe going after him, and I don't see that. I think Brighton might be getting Caicedo in the end, which, who knows, it might turn out to be a great signing for them. But they need all the goods.
To be honest, I think Brighton might be doing that to look at a Basuma replacement, because he's looking like
the
next man on the way out. So wait and see on that.
Basuma looks like a player as well, but we'll see. I'm sure we'll be linked to him at some point in the summer, if not
obviously
the late part of January. Let's see a few more people, what people are saying in the chat. Keep getting your thoughts in the live chat as well. Also, feel free to follow Jack down below on Twitter. Great stuff on there. Make sure you check him out in the description. Let's see. LSR Prelinks Live says he wants to have a 5 at the back tomorrow, sit in the cop and hit him on the break. Well, listen, I in some ways, that is a pragmatic approach. Some people would argue a bit more of an intelligent approach. I'm not sure what side I'm on that one, but obviously, Ole is the kind of guy who, in these big games, he does like to sit back a little bit and use our quality on the counter attack, which we've shown, especially last season in those big games, that we definitely have. But how do you stand on it, Jack? Do you reckon that we will look to counter attack? Do you think that's the right way to go, or do you think there's a different system that we should play?
I think we will look to counter attack. I don't think we will play 5 at the back, though. I think 5 at the back, especially in the big games last season, was due to a lack of pace from the centre backs, notably Maguire and Lindelof. Now that you've got Eric Bailly, who if he doesn't start, I'd be hugely shocked. I think you can kind of afford to have the 4 at the back, especially now that I think Ole has kind of realised that Wan-Bissaka cannot play right wing back either. He just doesn't have the qualities going forward, and positionally he's a bit off when he plays right wing back. So I think he will stick to the 4 at the back. But I still think you can counter attack using 4 at the back. But then again, if he's going to play Fred, McTominay and Pogba, that's a lot, and Cavani, that's a lot less pace for a counter attack as well. So it'd be interesting to see how he sets it up. I think it all depends on the lineup, and I think when you see the lineup tomorrow at 3:30, you will know what way United are going to play. If we have a lineup where it's Fred, McTominay, Pogba, Bruno, Cavani, Rashford, we're going to play and try and play ball with Liverpool. We're not going to try and beat them on the break, because you've got Pogba, Cavani, who aren't the quickest. Technically very good, of course, but we'll try and play in those little pockets of space, little 1-2s, round the corner, overlaps, third man runs, that kind of thing. Whereas if we see, the likes of Pogba out of the squad, out of the team, and you see Rashford, a Martial or a James, and then a Cavani with a Bruno in the middle, you could be seen to be playing more in the counter-attack, because Dan James's number one attribute is pace. And Rashford, when he plays out wide as a left winger, his main attribute is getting the ball and transitioning quickly, cutting inside and trying to get a shot or a pass away. So I think you'll be able to tell by the lineup. If I was to think what Ole was going to do, I think he would be under serious scrutiny if he wasn't to play Pogba and we lost. So I think he won't take the gamble, and he will play Pogba. I think he'll have promised Fred and McTominay that they will play. So I reckon he'll have Pogba either loitering on a right-hand side, because I think if he doesn't play Rashford on the left, I'd be very surprised up against Trent Alexander-Arnold. Or we play some sort of a diamond with Cavani and Rashford as split strikers. But I think United will go for the let's play ball with these guys and see what they can they beat us, because we've got quality in that midfield. If you said to me midfield of Fred, McTominay, Bruno, Pogba, and then the qualities of Rashford and Cavani up front, I'd say come play with us, see if you can beat us.
Well, exactly, and that is the scenario. They have to come and beat us, really. I mean, if obviously we spoke about it before. You want to say that you want to be one of those fans that say that we take a draw, but obviously Liverpool are the ones with the onus on them. We're the ones 3 points clear at the top, and they have to come and beat us. And we do have genuine quality now, especially with Bruno Fernandez. And as we know, this is the first time he's playing Liverpool, and he's fully changed the game for us. So it'll be very interesting to see how Liverpool try and deal with Bruno Fernandez, because we can talk all the time about how we deal with certain Liverpool players, but they've got to deal with our players, and with Cavani, Rashford, potentially Martial coming back into it as well, depending on his injury. We're not sure really how that's going to play out. We've got Greenwood, you've got Daniel James. I'm going to say Daniel James in there as well, but. We have got this firepower. We've got firepower that we didn't have last season, so it's exciting. It's a very, very exciting prospect. But before we get into our lineups, because I think obviously that's a good segue into the lineup. We'll get into Connor's lineup here. He goes with De Gea, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Bailly, Maguire, Shaw, McTominay, Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Cavani, and either one of Greenwood or Dan James. So no Fred in there with McTominay, I notice. And he's gone with either Greenwood or Dan James as well. I'm not sure if that's the lineup that he would like to see or the lineup that he's predicting Solskjaer. He hasn't said. But we'll ask you, Jack, for your predicted lineup. I've only actually got a predicted lineup. I haven't got a lineup that I want to see, but I could probably substitute the players really. I don't think there's too much that I've predicted that I wouldn't have in my real lineup. But I'll come to you, Jack. Your predicted lineup for this game, and then
predicted
also
or preferred?
What? Well, do the predicted one first, and then you can change any if there's ones you prefer.
I reckon he will go with De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Bailly, Maguire, Shaw, making up the back four. I think he'll play. I'm not sure if it's going to be a diamond or like a 4-2-2-2, or whether he occupies Pogba on a right or a left hand side. But I think the midfield will make up of Fred, McTominay, Pogba, Bruno Fernandez, and then Rashford and Cavani. In any which way they set up with those 11 players, I think it will be the 11 that Solskjaer plays. Which I'm not against that team, but I'd make a few slight adjustments for the way I think we can exploit Liverpool's weaknesses. I did a bit of I looked at a few Liverpool games there earlier and just kind of picked out a few areas where I think we can exploit them. But I wouldn't be mad to see that team. I think it's not a hugely, he's picked this player, we're going for it. But it's one that you go, yeah, that's what I expected from Ole. It's a good team. There's a lot of quality. Yeah. Pogba's played well. He's earned his place. Cavani will cause problems. Martial picked up a slight knock. Maybe the right thing to keep him on the bench. Plus his form hasn't been, setting the world alight. So that's what I think Solskjaer will go with.
I said I wouldn't be disappointed with that team at all, to be honest. With what we've got at our disposal, I don't think that's the worst team at all. Originally, for my predicted team, I did originally think 5 at the back. Is he going to go back to what he did last season? But then I thought with the firepower we've got, I feel like Solskjaer might go away from that. Obviously, the 5 at the back is almost his crutch, his safety net. He always goes back to in these big games. But I think because now you've got Eric Bailly in there next to Harry Maguire, and they've proven to be a very strong centre-back partnership, I'm going to go to the 4, and I'm going to probably match your, in terms of predicted lineup, match your goalkeeper and back 4. I don't think I'll change much. I feel like he will go with McFred, with McTominay and Fred, and he does seem to like that partnership. And it's funny, I've seen people on social media saying you can almost tell in what games, what midfield's going to start. So in the big games, we usually see McTominay and Fred, and in the other ones, we usually see, Matic coming back in and players like Pogba as well. But as you said, for me, I feel like Paul Pogba has played his way back into this side. I think, if he didn't play Paul Pogba and we lost this game, there would be, as you said, uproar on social media if we didn't play Paul Pogba. And I think as well, a lot of the criticism was that, Paul Pogba couldn't play with Bruno Fernandez. They couldn't play in the same team together. But I think the games that we've seen, recently have definitely disproven that. So I reckon he will go with McTominay, Fred. He'll go with Pogba, Bruno Fernandez. And then we'll see Cavani and Marcus Rashford as the front pairing. I don't see Martial being fit for this one. He might be fit enough to start on the bench, and obviously if he is fit enough to start on the bench, then that's good for us as another option to potentially bring on. I don't think he'll be 100% fit unless the injury wasn't as bad as we first thought. And also Cavani, I think for me, is going to play a massive role in this game because he's someone who has in history scores in big moments. He comes up when it matters. He scored in World Cups, famously against not against England. Against, I think Portugal. It was in the latest World Cup. Portugal, that's the one. Suarez scored twice against England, actually. I can't believe I brought that up. Cavani,
I can't say anything. We don't qualify for the World Cup, so.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to bring up Jack. I didn't want to bring that up, but but yeah, Cavani, yeah, for me. The space he also creates for the other attacking players and the runs he makes is, Bruno Fernandez must be loving Cavani and the team, the fact that he, makes those forward runs. And we've seen as well, he can create goals. The goal he created for Bruno Fernandez against Leicester. So it's not just that the runs he makes off the ball, but the link-up play as well. And I think that predicted 11, as I said, I wouldn't be too disappointed with that at all. But I'll ask you, Jack, in just a second. I've seen a few people have joined the chat. Welcome, Harry. Thanks for joining. He says, buzzing for Liverpool to humble you lot tomorrow. The first non-United fan in the chat. Congratulations, Harry. Thanks for joining, mate. Appreciate it. Anyway, he says, buzzing for Liverpool to humble you lot, as I said. Harry, mate.
So, I mean,
yeah.
If anyone's being humbled this season, I think it's him. So.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the nerve of Arsenal fans to be talking. The nerves of Arsenal fans to be talking. He goes with 3-1, his prediction, 3-1 to the Scousers. Listen, mate. As I said, you're closer to the bottom of the table than you are to the top at this point. Actually, I'm not sure if that's true, but I'm gonna keep pretending it is true
11th.
Because it feels like it. It's exactly 11th, and listen, you're worrying about the wrong side of the table. You're worrying about the wrong side of the table. Kevin, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. He says the board is shit, bucket is shit. Thanks for joining, Kevin. Appreciate it. With the words of wisdom there. But to be fair, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Iron Man's joined us. Thanks for joining, Iron Man. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule with the Avengers. He says, De Gea, actually not anymore because he died. De Gea and Wan-Bissaka, Bailly, Maguire, Shaw, Fred, McTominay, Pogba, Fernandez, Rashford and Martial is his 11. So quite similar to what we've gone with. But he has put Martial in there, I've seen. And that could be potentially optimistic. Obviously, Martial picking up that injury against Burnley. But who knows how bad it is, really. Sometimes they're made to be a bit worse than they actually are. So who knows? But I don't think he'll start. But he could be a feature on the bench. Football Crew Show's joined us as well. Thanks for joining. He says Leicester City is second place in the league at the moment. But I'm hoping we get a win tomorrow to keep Liverpool in third place. Well, as we said, if we win tomorrow and Man City win, after being touted as this super team, one of the best Liverpool teams of all time, we could be 6 points clear. And not only that, they could be fourth in the Premier League. So within the space of 2 weeks, they've been knocked off the first spot and go to fourth. It's a mad season. It really, really is. But who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? Iron Man says we need super sub Cavani. Yeah, I think Cavani in this game will be a big influence, as we've talked about. I see Harry stirring up a bit of trouble in the comments, but I would expect nothing less. I expect nothing less from an Arsenal fan. And Yank Talking Smack says, I think I'd be happy if he put that line up. Can see him putting Pogba and Scott over Fred because of a run of form and how well Pogba does against Liverpool and City. That's true. Pogba does seem to step up in the big occasions. The most famous one, of course, being his 2 goals at the Etihad back in Jose Mourinho's second season. He lives for those big occasions, and I'll ask you, Jack. Do you think that Pogba will be looking at this fixture, and obviously with all the headlines that were written about him with Raiola coming out, do you think he'll be looking at this fixture in particular as one where he says, all right, I'm going to perform in this one, I'm going to write my own headlines, and I'm going to show everyone how good I really am?
100%. I think Pogba, if you're looking to make a statement on how good you are as a player, or I want to move in the summer, the most watched game in the Premier League, the one that's going to have the most eyes on, is the one to perform in. I don't think I've actually ever really seen Pogba play well against Liverpool either. So I think that's, he's due a good game against Liverpool. I remember the one at Old Trafford where he gave away the penalty and was overall appalling. But I think Pogba, if he's on song, and I think he'll want to be on song, he'll really want to put his impact on the game and really start put a statement out there for everyone to go, I am Paul Pogba. This is the reason I'm rated so highly. This is the reason Man United fans always back me up when I'm not having a good run of form. And I'm here to show that United are the real deal. And if I do leave, I'm going to leave with Premier League titles. So, that's why I think Paul Pogba needs to have a good game.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a huge... I mean, as well for Paul Pogba, if we were to win some silverware, even if it was, FA Cup, if we were to win, some silverware before he leaves. I think, as you know, as you said, I feel like realistically this summer for me is when I pinpoint the Paul Pogba train leaving the station. I feel like I just don't see him staying. Maybe he'll do a De Gea and maybe there'll be a faulty fax machine somewhere along the line, but I just don't see it. I feel like he will be leaving us soon. But yeah, to go out with the Premier League, I think will also change the way he was perceived as well when we look back on his career at Manchester United, because a lot of people obviously, have kind of been slaying Pogba a lot, with the agent and saying he creates more negative headlines than, he provides positive ones. But if he was to, finish his career at United with a Premier League in his hand, I think a lot of people remember him a lot more fondly and probably wish him on his way a lot more. Gareth joined us. Thanks for joining, Gareth Donnelly. He says, Leicester about to go second. Forget the Scousers, mate. It's hard to forget the Scousers.
He's
but
a Leicester fan, so that's like...
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Thanks for joining us, Gareth. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate everyone for joining as well, getting your comments in. It's always great to have people having their say. Football Crucial asks, he doesn't ask, he says, I'm hoping Donny van de Beek gets a start tomorrow. I mean, in my opinion, I think it's unlikely that Donny van de Beek gets a start, especially with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's record.
I'm more likely to start than Donny van de Beek.
Yeah, I mean, listen, his record of starting Donny van de Beek isn't great, even in, dead rubber games that don't matter. So I doubt he's going to get a start in this one. But who knows, he might have a bit of a role coming off the bench. But realistically, with the lateness that Solskjaer seems to make his subs, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a 89th minute time-wasting sub. But regardless of whether he's a time-wasting sub or not, that's still a role. He still played a role in our victory, even if that's the case. Kevin says, is it a plane? Is it a bird? Is it a chopper? No, it's Man United flying high. It is indeed, and you got to enjoy it while it lasts. Really, obviously, after the game tomorrow, we could get absolutely humbled, and all this positivity goes away. So really, this is the last kind of 12, 13 hours of just enjoying us being clear at the top of the table, and you got to enjoy it while it lasts. Really, Dazza says it's going to be 1-1. We won't win it, says Daz. Oh, come on, Daz, mate. Come on, we're going to win it. We're going to win it. Trust me.
Daz. Jesus Christ, mate.
We'll get on to the predictions very shortly. If you guys want to leave your predictions as well, we'll go through them. Harry says, Kevin, I don't want to be bad on here, but that chopper could end up being the next Vita. Wow. Okay. Listen, I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong, and obviously, ROP to Bichai, the Leicester owner. But that is a comment and a half. We're going to leave that one there. There's a Leicester fan
in the chat as well. She's not right. It's poor.
Wait, we'll leave that one lingering for now. Iron Man says Pogba loves third kit because he remembers his time at Juventus. 2 games, 2 goals. True. I'm not sure if we are going to be playing in the third kit, actually. I don't know. I'm not the kit man, to be honest. I'll have to ask Albert, although he's retired now. Yeah, kit man by day, YouTuber by night. I know. In fact, I've been told the lineup already. I'm just, staying quiet about it. But yeah, obviously, I don't know what kit we're going to play in, but listen, if Pogba wants to play as well as he did against Juventus, then I'm happy to scrap the kind of more greenish grey kit. I'm happy to scrap that. Just have the zebra kit. In fact, make that our home kit. Just make that our home kit. Exactly. We don't need the red. We don't need it. But yeah, listen, Pogba, all jokes aside, has been playing very well recently. And I like to see it. I think, I've been impressed with what he's been saying in his interviews, and some people would say that, it's easy to kind of drum up some good PR by saying some, emotive quotes in interviews. But from what I watched, I genuinely do believe that Paul Pogba, wants to be successful at United and wants to, have this team push on. I think he can sense that this team has got something special about it. Because, with Bruno Fernandez in there, with the quality we've got up front right now, this is probably one of our best chances to, to do something this season, whether it's win the FA Cup, win the Premier League, win something, or just make a statement. I think this is our best chance we've had in a while. Adam says, my lineup is De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Bailly, Shaw, Fred, McTominay, Pogba, Fernandez, Rashford and Cavani. So yeah, very similar to the ones that we predicted earlier from Adam. So great minds think alike there. But you know what? It's come to the time of the show where we give our predictions, and these are probably, as I said in the title, this is the biggest preview we've done on the channel this season, and these are the biggest predictions we've done on the channel, and that is why I got Jack on, the main man. Who else? But we'll come to you, Jack, first. How do you see this game planning out? How do you see, both teams setting up? How do you see the game progressing? Mm-hmm. And who do you think is going to come out on top?
Oh, I think with the predicted, I'm going to go with the predicted lineup, how I think the game will pan out with that lineup on the pitch. So I think the first 10 minutes will be quite a cagey affair. Both teams kind of trying to establish a rhythm. Thiago will be trying to get on the ball a lot, try and influence the game by spreading out left to Mane, right to Salah. And then obviously we'll try to be counteract that with McTominay, Fred trying to nip in those spaces, and we're going to try and hit them with Fernandez, Rashford, Cavani, those kind of players. So it's going to be quite a cagey 10-15 minutes, and neither team will kind of establish a rhythm. I think then you'll see Liverpool come out of that phase on top, and kind of for the next maybe until the half-hour mark really kind of dominate the play, but in a way where they're not really creating much, because I think we'll be with Maguire and Bailly. If Trent is looking to swing in or Robertson looking to swing in all the crosses, we'll be able to deal with that threat. So, and then I see for the last maybe 15 minutes United hitting them, pace, Rashford, Bruno obviously with his quality, and Cavani with his poacher's instinct. I think we'll nick one before half-time, go in 1-0 up at half-time, and then I think that Ole will go in saying, right boys, that's kind of what we wanted in that half. And then I think he's going to, not that he's going to get it wrong, but I think the United players will get a bit complacent. 15 minutes maybe into the second half, Liverpool will just bombard us and they'll get an equaliser. And then I reckon final 15 minutes, from as soon as Liverpool get the equaliser, it would be kind of become a little bit like the first 10-15 minutes, cagey, lots of tackles flying in, not a lot of chances being created, just a lot of play in between where the two boxes are. So from the halfway line to the D's of each box, that was where a lot of the game would be played before you stop, start. And then I think last 10-15 minutes, a cheeky little Cavani header or a Bruno Fernandez penalty, something like that, and we nick it 2-1. I'm going to say 2-1 to United.
I like that a lot. I like the sound of that a lot. But yeah, I think, it's going to be cagey. It's going to be cagey no matter what happens in these sort of games. Both teams don't want to lose. Liverpool probably, as I said earlier, I feel like they have probably a bit more of the onus to win the game, considering where the league stands going into it. But I think it'll be very, very cagey. But hopefully a good spectacle. Although for United fans and probably for Liverpool fans as well, if it was a really boring match but we won the game, 1-0, I don't think anyone would care. Really. No. Iron Man says, I want Rash and Bruno playing behind and in between Trent and Henderson. Go for the weakness. I see what you're saying there, Iron Man. I see what you're saying there. Because they do have a few weaknesses, especially with players being out. I think a few players are pending kind of late fitness test. I think Joel Matip's one of them. So if he passes that, he could be back in the defence, which then would free up Henderson to go into that midfield, which wouldn't be ideal for us really, because we want that midfield to be as weak as possible, especially with Thiago in there. But yeah, we'll see how it pans out. But he goes with a 3-1 win and 6 points clear. Love that, Iron Man. Love it. I'll read your comment, Adam. He's saying read the comment. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. He says, do you think Klopp makes excuses when his team drop points? He can't stand that team play defensive against him. And his prediction before, I'll allow Jack to have his thoughts on that. His prediction, our most important player this season will be Bailly. He just needs to stay fit. I think Bailly coming back in has definitely proven to be a massive plus for us. But do you think, to answer Adam's question there, do you think that Klopp does make excuses when his teams drop points? Do you think that he just can't handle teams parking the bus against him essentially, or playing a bit more defensively, or do you think he's got something? I mean, I probably know where you're going with this, but do you think Klopp makes excuses?
Klopp reminds me of Ty from AFTV. There's always it's been raining, or it's too windy, or the grass is too long, or they got lucky. I thought when they lost against Southampton won fair and square. They actually created better chances in the game. Southampton as well fully deserved to win. Against West Brom, West Brom got a lucky header, 1-1. They didn't create anything of real note against Newcastle, and Newcastle missed a big chance in that game as well. So Liverpool just aren't creating enough right now, and he'll argue, the fixture list and the injuries, but Liverpool have had a lot of rest time recently. And, you can't give out about, fixture congestion and injuries, and then you go and field one of your strongest teams against the Aston Villa's under 12s. Klopp makes a lot of excuses, and then he's very... he's a bit of a hypocrite in that way. He'd make excuses about fixture congestion and then bring on Robertson in a dead game for half an hour and then goes and gets injured.
Yeah.
Klopp can be a bit of a hypocrite in that sense. But I think all managers are the same. Guardiola, when have you ever seen Guardiola take responsibility for a loss? It's always something else. It's always, my team played well. No, they didn't, mate. He's lost. It's just simple. But I think any manager would like to defend their team or their philosophy.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't pan out, Jose is the same. You'll say, it's the player's fault when his system doesn't run out when you go and draw 1-1 with Fulham. No, it's because if you employed a better system, you could be 3 or 4-0 up before Fulham have a chance to even score because you've got better players. So I think a lot of managers will be defensive like that, but I think Klopp is twitching a little bit because for the first time in a year or two, he's having a rough run in the league. 98 and 99 points back-to-back leagues with Champions League the season before that, and now you're hitting a bit of a rocky patch where you haven't won in your last 3 in the league. A team who out of nowhere have gone ahead of you in the league, and in your opinion they're getting the rub of the green with decisions. Of course you're gonna try and hit back and try and claim that there's excuses and they get too many penalties and your team aren't getting the rub of the green, things like that. But I think Klopp is a little bit rattled at the moment.
Yeah, it seems. I mean, I was watching his press conference just to see what he'd say. Obviously, the VAR situation obviously came up. People trying to bait him to comment on that. I think he said something along the lines of that he's never told any of his players to go down, and obviously bringing up the fact that Mourinho told Rashford to be a bit smarter or whatever. Just nonsense, just absolute nonsense.
Mourinho's not even the manager,
Well, exactly. But I think Klopp is a little bit more worried than I think he probably gives off. Obviously, in the press conference he can't just be like, "Yeah, we're scared shitless. We don't want to play United." He can't say that. But I think he will be a little bit more cautious. I think he will be thinking, something could happen here. And I think, it's not been plain sailing for him, and usually it is. Obviously, the injury to Van Dijk. Van Dijk previously had pretty well had a flawless injury record, so he's had that luxury. And now all of a sudden you've had Van Dijk get injured. Jota, obviously, you had Gomez, you got Thiago as well. He hasn't had the rub of the green recently, and that has obviously ticked him off a lot. And it would tick. I said, all other managers are going to be the same. LSR Preens Live says 3-1 written all over it. We're going to shock the world tomorrow. I hope so. We've had a few 3-1 predictions actually, a few 1-1s as well. But I hope we do shock the world. Bruno, Kobe just said he went with 2-1. Penno in the 92nd minute. You've got to love it. You've got to absolutely love it if that happens. I mean, Twitter would just be an absolute meltdown if that happened. I mean, I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it, but I'm sure the rival tears could fill the Hoover Dam. I'm 100%.
The tears of the Arsenal fans of this world and the Liverpool fans who have been a bit loud recently. If we go and beat them, then I think they might be a little bit quiet for a while, which is always nice.
It's always nice to get a bit of peace and
even though they tweet, I still read them in Scouse accents and it pisses me off. So that would be a nice quiet change for a while, to be fair.
Yeah, I think every United fan's with you on that one. But I'm going to get into my score prediction, and then we'll probably wrap things up. If you want to get any kind of last comments in, please do feel free to do so. But my score prediction, I think it'll be, as you said, I think it'll be very cagey. I think this is a sort of game where, out of all the Liverpool games we played at Anfield, I think this is probably the one where I feel the most confident that we could do something. As LSR said, we could shock the world. I think a win here sends a huge statement, and I think the mentality of the players is different to what I've seen in previous seasons. That win against Burnley shows a change to me, and shows a change in fortune as well, because it shows that we are winning those sort of tight encounters where teams are playing low blocks. Burnley had 0 shots on target in the whole game, 0 shots on target, and we still managed to win that game. And we're getting those change in fortunes, and for me, that's going to play a role in this Liverpool game. There will be a little bit of an element of fortune to it. But hey, if you're going to win at Anfield, a place where the home side hasn't lost in 3 calendar years, you're going to have a bit of fortune along the way. But I think there will be a little bit of fortune in our favour. But I think we could really do something. I think it's inconceivable to me that we're going to keep a clean sheet. If we do keep a clean sheet, I'll be absolutely astonished. But it could happen. It could happen if we defend well. Set pieces, of course, are going to be difficult, especially with Robertson and Arnold whipping in crosses like they can. We're pretty shocking at defending crosses. We have a bad record, so that's something that worries me. But if we take our chances, I think we can win the game. And I'm gonna go. I'm stuck between 2-1 and 3-1, but because I've seen a few people in the chat predict 3-1, I'm going to join them. I'm going to go 3-1 to Manchester United. I feel like one of the goals could be a very late on 95th when all the Liverpool players are just up the field. I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of goal happens.
Like an Everton kind of scenario.
Yeah, exactly that. And it would be pretty good. It would be pretty, a poetic justice for us to score that sort of goal when all the Liverpool fans were, creaming themselves when Salah did it last season. For us to do that to them this season would just be unreal, and to make that 6-point gap. So I'm going to go with 3-1. I think Bruno Fernandez will have a massive impact on this game. He knows the magnitude of this game, and in games where they do have a massive importance, he does seem to step up. We saw him at home to Man City last season. He was fantastic in that one. And just generally, he's a player that's going to be very difficult for Liverpool to deal with, especially with the high line they play in with Marcus Rashford running in behind. It's not going to be easy. So I'm going to go with 3-1. I'm not saying that we're going to walk it. I'm definitely not saying that. But I just feel like something's in the air. Something is in the air for Manchester United to potentially upset the odds a little bit. And it's weird saying that even though we're top of the table and they're second, but I still think going to Anfield, we are a little bit the underdogs in this game. Yeah. So I'm going to go with 3-1, but any sort of win, as we talked about, I'd be happy with. But any last comments? I'll see if anyone's said anything here. Adam says, my dad has stopped watching United matches because he says, I don't know what United is going to turn up. Isn't that the fun of it? That's the fun of it. Tell your dad that's the fun of it. You should keep the unpredictability of it. But to be fair, this season we've been a bit more consistent, I'd say, anyway. Harry says your dad knows that downfall's imminent, Adam. I can't read today. But anyway, thanks for everyone getting in the chat. I will wrap it up now. Kobe says, is Martial fit, actually? I don't think he is fit. I don't think... Well, I think there's a late fitness test, probably. I don't think he'll start, if that answers your question. If he does start, then obviously what happened to him against Burnley wasn't as serious as we once thought. But I just think, the way he went off, I doubt he'll start in this game. And to be honest with you, I'd rather two fully fit strikers than, one that's fully fit and the other one which is kind of, 70-80% fit. And finally, Harry says, the fact of the matter is the winners of the league are actually playing tomorrow night. There you go. Well, on that note, I thought I was going to be... I should have known. He's an Arsenal fan. I should have known. It wasn't going to be a positive comment on United. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you to Jack. Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you back on the channel, my friend.
Cheers.
Always great to have you on. Yeah, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. Really do appreciate it. Make sure to check him out in the Twitter link in the description down below as well. If you want to follow him on there. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. We'll have the match reaction after the game as well. So look forward to that. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that notification bell. All that good stuff that you hear on every single YouTube channel you probably watch. But I'm going to say it to you again. Yeah, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. And hopefully you have a good rest of your evening. And hopefully United have a good time tomorrow afternoon. And we're celebrating come 6 o'clock tomorrow. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you in a bit. Cheers.